Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have Beth. Actually, she was with us before COVID. Jan forgot, and she reminded me. We have Marianne Delorey with us, a PhD. She is the executive director of Colony Retirement Homes over in Worcester, and she wrote a fantastic article. She writes in the 50 Plus Advocate newspaper. Comes out every month. It's really, really good. You got to grab it. You can get it at sometimes at the library up the street. You can get it over at Tapnut Bookseller. It's free. And she wrote a wonderful article, and it's called "Finding Meaningful Work Roles Later in Life." We want to talk about this. First of all, welcome back, Marianne. Describe your PhD to us first.
Sure. So my PhD was actually on this very topic. It was on ikigai, which is the Japanese word for life, purpose, and meaning in older females in Japan. I was studying Japanese women because my advisor at the time was studying the Silver Human Resource Centers of Japan, which are designed to build in life, purpose, and meaning for older Japanese workers.
How did you get into this line of work over at Colony?
I've been in affordable housing for seniors for 35 years or something along those lines. I can't imagine a time in my life when I wasn't connected to older adults.
Did you grow up in Massachusetts?
I did, in Natick.
In Natick.
Mm-hmm.
And what college did you go to?
Alfred University for my undergrad in upstate New York, but then I came back and did my PhD at UMass Boston.
At UMass Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you knew all along what you wanted to do. Kind of.
When I graduated from undergrad, I took the first job I could find because it was the middle of a recession. But I said, I'll go volunteer while I've got some free time. And I stepped foot into a rest home to work, play cards with some elderly residents. And I was like, this is where I belong.
Yeah. And you liked it. You took to it.
Yeah.
Thank God she did, because she is terrific at this. This article really nailed it. There's lots of jobs out there. We know the job market's great, but as she says, it's staffing. And this is about realizing that we have in our elder community, I hate that word, older, we have a lot of talent out there.
We do.
And over at Colony in Worcester, they're independent.
Independent
and there's a lot
apartments,
of talent out there. And in the article, she says, take the example of Beth. This is a person that she can do more work if she earns too much money, she'll no longer be eligible, here we go, for Medicaid and can't otherwise afford her prescriptions. Isn't that lovely? Tell us about that.
So the safety net systems that we have set up are really intended to keep our older adults out of the workforce, which is a terrible shame. Because if there was more flexibility, people could maintain their benefits and contribute to the workforce. And HUD is a perfect example. Our housing is subsidized, which means that HUD pays a portion of the rent for our residents. And if they earn any income, well, their rent goes up too.
Yeah.
And although there's some fairness to that, there's also a disincentive built in to contribute to their communities. So we built a program that works around the edges of that rule so that we can employ our residents and still have them contribute.
Yeah, it feels almost like, I hate to say it, but it's almost like they punish you for wanting to help in society.
Exactly.
And to work like, if you do that, we're going to take away from you.
Right.
No, you can't do that. But listen to this. At Colony, we have a fantastic resource in our own residents. These are independent senior people. Our tenants during their working lives have been important and notable business leaders, teachers, nurses, engineers, and the like. Most are personable, smart, detail-oriented, and interested in jobs they still can do. Many of them serve our communities in paid positions that we tailor to their abilities, needs, and desires. even more of them volunteer in whatever way they can to make the community a better place. And then you tell us about some of them, even with their limitations. Tell us about that.
So it's amazing if you can support somebody, how much they can offer. I have a blind resident who for many years did my shredding for me because it's all confidential material, but she can't see it.
No.
So she sat there and fed things into the shredder when I needed her to. And then that over COVID, that became problematic because we shared an office space. So she started polishing silverware. You sit it in front of her, she takes her rag and polishes it, and although, she may not get every spot, it cleans up the water spots very, very well. So she's absolutely dedicated to doing whatever she's still able to do. And it's incumbent upon us to find and support these residents with the abilities that they still have.
When a resident, how do they do this? Do they have to be a resident there to come to you?
No.
No, they can come. When a senior comes to you and says, look, I'm getting antsy. I've got to get out there. I've got a lot of energy. But I don't want to get penalized, punished for working.
Right.
I can't afford to lose my Medicaid.
Right.
How do you do? Do you say, sit down, let's talk? How do you handle this?
So everybody's situation is different. Some have the ability to earn a little bit more, and so we would kind of look at their benefits. And I am by no means an expert on benefits, and that takes somebody with a different skill set to truly understand what they're able to do. Because I'm an expert in housing, but there's also Social Security, SSI, and Medicaid that are all means tested at varying levels. And I don't know those programs and their limitations as well. So usually I talk to them about their housing and what kinds of skills they still have, what skills they want to use, because even if you sometimes have a people skill, they're like, don't put me with people.
Yeah. Okay.
But then we talk about what's of interest to them, how much they can do, and if there's a match in Colony's community, we point them in that direction.
Yeah. Do you notice a slant towards a certain kind of jobs that they like? Are they more like, would they rather work alone or maybe as a receptionist in an office?
So the place where we've been able to employ the most residents is actually at our front desk. So we have a mini shift from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., which is just 3 hours.
Yeah. That's if you're a morning person.
Well, yeah. Doesn't work for everybody.
No. Okay.
But so long as they can see people coming in the front door and answer questions and be reasonably professional, that's a great shift for them to pick up.
Yeah.
And then we call it a community service, and we're able to reduce their rent slightly as a result, which is how we keep it kind of within the rules.
Can they also work like in, as I know that I have a friend who, actually she's like a pen pal, and she serves as a tour guide of a type of colony place.
Oh, cool.
A tour guide. Now that's something I would love, because back in high school I was, I was called a student hostess. Mm-hmm. Oh, parents come in for the first time, they've got a freshman kid, and you just take them around and you show them the rooms. Do you have anything like that?
So we don't right now, but that's a great idea.
Yeah.
The HUD rule that we utilize the most is called the resident service stipend, and there's a rule in the HUD handbook that says that so long as the value of the contribution is less than $200, it doesn't affect their rent. So we're able to tailor small jobs that don't go over that amount, but still pay them essentially minimum wage to do this work.
Does it have to be taxed?
No, because it's not actually income. It is a deduction in their rent instead.
Oh, deduction in their rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that ends up where they have a little bit more money.
Yes.
On their monthly income.
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of a win-win thing.
Yes.
They get to have fun at what they're working at.
Yeah.
And they get to have a little bit more money at the end of the month.
Exactly. And they feel important and useful. And it builds in an incredible amount of backup for us. So
Yeah.
if, for example, there's a snowstorm and our receptionist is running late, there's trained people in the buildings to help out all the time.
I think this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that more women like to do it, or the guys too?
We definitely have men who are looking for jobs, and we've had the men do the front desk as well.
Really?
Yep. None right now. I think they're all women right now, but our population is heavily skewed women.
Well, if you look at, I've talked about this before, but darn, I think we were talking about housing. The housing for seniors, housing authorities and all, way back when those were built.
Mm-hmm.
I think whoever was building them must have thought, oh, seniors don't live that long. And they're built like hamster cages.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to God. I don't think I could handle it. And they probably built them for one person who might make it to 70. But you look at the obituaries, 90s to 100s now, and couples are living.
Yes.
You can't put a couple in a hamster cage.
No.
And, I mean, really, it's hard enough talking about housing. With people, thank God, living wonderfully much longer lives, how are you finding housing for seniors?
It's hard. Our wait lists are often 7 years long.
What?
Yeah, they're
But
insane.
where are they going?
That's a great question, and I don't have an answer. There's a huge housing crunch in this country in general,
Yeah.
and then you add in affordability or senior specific, and you're waiting for a long, long time.
But there's got to be an emergency, because I have a friend. She and her husband divorced. She's in her 60s. Which awfully quick she got into town housing, not this town, but somewhere else. I'm scratching my head thinking, I got to ask her, how did you manage that?
Part of the problem with housing is that there isn't a centralized resource.
Yeah.
So you have to apply to each town's housing authority and to the nonprofit affordable housing agencies around. You don't apply once, you apply 20 times before you're on enough lists that you're going to get attention.
It would help if you knew somebody too, isn't that true?
No, I'm afraid not. It's very much, I can't speak for other agencies. I can only speak for my own, but we have to go in wait list order. I can't prioritize anybody.
What do you do if somebody's homeless and waiting? Who goes first?
So each agency gets to pick how they're going to structure their wait list. So some companies like mine do give priority to people who are homeless. Some don't, and we don't. So it doesn't, unfortunately, help a lot of people who are truly in bad situations.
Yeah.
But there are, especially a lot of housing authorities do prioritize homelessness, veterans, and other kind of priorities. But it's not consistent at all.
You know what I like the idea of? Something called, I like the word, maybe I made it up, maybe it's out there already, home share. Now, I don't know how many people are like me. I've got this humanitarian, maybe it's too fantasy, but home share. Families who maybe have an extra room. I've had boarders, I've had renters in my life. It's a win-win situation if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to a HUD or you go to a place and say, look, you got somebody who's on the list, who's temporarily looking for a safe, happy, warm home to be. We can help out. They're welcome to stay. No smoking, no drinking, all the rules. But they can come. They've got a safe home.
Mm-hmm.
They probably get food stamps, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
They can, whatever their money income is, great. None of our business. They're on their own. Just abide by our rules, and that's it. Is that something that might kick off?
It's a great idea, especially in this housing crunch.
Yeah. Home share.
Yeah. Because the more people you put under a roof, the more other apartments are open for other people.
How many families do you think are open to this?
So we're in a different kind of society, say, than like the Kumbaya era of the 70s and 60s.
Yeah. Peace band.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not opposed to it, but I think there's a little, I think our society in general is a little bit more cautious.
Caution on 4. Yeah, that's good.
So I don't know if it's going to take off, but I think that it's a great idea.
Yeah, the person would have to be really, really looked into.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word? Vetted?
Yes.
I hate that. It feels awful, but You got to do it in today's society. No guns.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. I
Yeah.
mean, don't you dare bring anything into this house. But it's a thought. It's one way.
It is.
I gotta say, when I see some of these McMansions, I'm like, oh, come on.
Right.
You have to have 1 or 2 rooms. Let's wake up here. Some of them can't even afford to put furniture in it.
Right.
Come on.
A lot
All
of
right.
families are overhoused, and honestly, it's not good for them to be overhoused.
No, it's not.
They're heating and air conditioning a space that they're not using.
They're not. And I used to work as a live-in nanny years ago. And I used to see this all the time, and it just was round around in my head like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
There's a family probably 2 streets down, and maybe they've got a member who has no place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this. You're doing nothing with this. I don't know how you live with yourself. Frankly, how do you look in the mirror? But that's their lifestyle. Priorities. Cars first.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, we believe strongly that all the members of a community have something to give. Boy, that's a strong statement.
It's true.
I love it. You must see it a lot do you deal just with Colony where your residents live? Do you see it in other places you go?
Well, I do. I think I see it more in the Colony community because a lot of our residents don't think they have much more to give. And so I consider it my mission to explain to them what they still can give. Even if it's just a smile or an encouraging word, it's important to remember that everybody contributes.
Exactly. We have been talking, it's been our pleasure to have Marianne Delorey with us, and she is the Executive Director of Colony Retirement Homes. She's situated out in Worcester, and her title in the 50 Plus Advocate February issue was Finding Meaningful Work Roles Later in Life. Marianne, how can they get a hold of you if they'd like to talk with you?
You can reach me at Colony Retirement Homes at 508-755-0444 or at mdelorey@colonyretirement.com.
This staffing shortage, I've seen it. I'm not going to talk about, no, I'm not talking about UMass. They're packed. I mean, I've been in their emergency room many times, and I still, actually, you think I'm a nut. But, sometimes they have so many people coming in, there aren't quite enough rooms, for you to go in. I don't mind being out in the hall because they always notice me. I mean, I'm like, how you doing? But there's another hospital I've been in recently, and it's like, at night, it's like a doggone ghost town. It's like, do you remember the scene in The Godfather when Michael goes in and there's no one there to see his father? I'm like, and the staffing is just awful.
Yeah.
That's when they could use maybe some of the seniors who could at least go in and walk down the halls. How about someone to go in and check in and talk with a patient?
Can I get you a book?
Is there anything wrong with that?
Right.
I was just left there. My husband had a rickety old chair to try to sleep in. We were kept overnight, and I kept looking out in the hall. I think I saw one aide just standing there going like this with her cell phone. I'm like, it was not a good feeling. One time we actually got up and looked out in the hall, not a soul.
Right.
How often do you see that? I mean, I'm not used to that. I mean, it was spooky. How about, if you don't have the money in the hospital to hire a lot of professional aides, how about having some of the seniors come in, volunteer, or a little bit of money? Come on in, go to the people's rooms, sit down and talk with them.
Sometimes all it takes is a little compassion.
A lot, yeah. I mean, I would absolutely love it if somebody came in and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a compassionate volunteer.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a surgery buddy. People who might not have somebody to sit with them pre-op or be there for them. I know at UMass they have what's called patient advocates. And I was very frightened many years ago. I'd never had major surgery. I thought, well, you know what? They have this for kids. I'm going to step up. I called. I said, I would like a tour of what I'm going to see. They were right there. They had a girl about my age, a woman, show me what I was going to see, take me around, show me the pre-op. She was there for me in the pre-op that morning. I woke up. And there was one of them standing there right there. One of them kept track of my husband and told him how I was doing. That's the way adults or little kids. Children are not little adults. But I think we adults are just kids inside.
We need more compassion.
Exactly, and they were there for me. You got to reach out, though. They're always going to read your mind. But I knew, I said, you know what, I'm petrified. This has got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do something.
So I recently had reason to go into a pediatric ward, and I was so impressed with the care they took with their pediatric patients.
Yes.
They came in saying, would you like a squeeze ball? They brought a dog in so that they could reduce their anxiety about the situation. They were very kind and very patient with the pediatric people. And I thought, oh my gosh, we need more of this. We need more built-in compassion in our world.
For adults, too.
Yes.
We've got it for the kids, and I love that.
Right.
Now we need it. I've had many, I was a volunteer over at UMass for many years, and I had two ideas, especially pre-op, when I think a lot of us, our anxiety is like through the roof,
Mm-hmm.
To the point where you're nauseous. I mean, you're just like, ugh. And I thought, what if they had like, don't put much money into it, but like a little stuffed dog or something like that on each bed pre-op. You could have your hospital logo on it. And that's for the patient to keep. Okay, that's one thing. But you know what a basset hound?
Mm-hmm.
I know people are allergic maybe to animals, but what about, I could just see a basset hound in scrubs. What a gas, going through the pre-op, and going through, and this is, just giving a light feeling like this is Dr. So-and-so or our volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in and he sits there, or he can come up on your lap. What a gas that would be. I don't know if they could do it.
But they can. In the pediatric ward that I saw, they had, in post-op actually, it was a golden retriever, a service animal, coming in, a therapy dog,
Yeah.
to come in and sit with the pediatric patients.
Oh, so they will allow
They
pets in
absolutely
there.
will.
So it's not an excuse that some people are allergic, then they can't use that anymore, huh?
Well, I won't speak for all hospitals, but I was very impressed with, this was at Tufts in Boston.
I mean, I can just see a basset hound with the cap on and the gown. The feeling of casual, do down the hall, maybe come on in, just like, hey. Maybe you just go, and you go, sit there like, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
I would love it. If I would, there's got to be some other people out there, too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that connection. And you become so focused on how cool is this that you're losing some of that. I can't explain it. But back to the seniors and what they can do. The staffing problems, which I am seeing, especially in the medical profession, a lot. They could certainly contribute so much.
They absolutely can.
Just be there.
Yeah.
I really hate this idea of, especially in an emergency room, people being ignored or left. It doesn't add up.
Right.
Not a good thing. We need more staff like that. I know they can't afford a lot. Okay, I mean, I understand money's a problem, but so let's step it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of the people at Colony ever show an interest in helping out medically like that, do you think?
So we don't have a medical facility attached to Colony. It's really apartments, but I can tell you that among other things, they visit each other in their apartments when they're not doing well. They bring communion to each other or just sit and pray with each other if that's their thing.
Yeah.
They'll come in and help them with their mail or just keep them company.
Reading maybe together. People. Another thing too, and you mentioned it like post-op. If you're in the hospital bed and all, some people think, well, these are adults, they don't care. How about bringing in the cart with the coloring books?
What a great idea.
And with puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be right there. Give it to me. Give me everything you got.
Yeah.
I would love, and I wouldn't mind bringing the cart in, too.
Yeah.
Because I think they'd be so surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I know a friend of mine recently, she passed away. Well, the first thing I bring her in the hospital was a teddy bear. because I'm thinking, what would I like to have?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are talking with Marianne Delorey, and PhD. She's the executive director of Colony Retirement Homes. Her article was in the 50 Plus Advocate. Find meaningful work roles later in life. Again, Marianne, how can they get a hold of you?
I'm at Colony Retirement Homes in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm at 508-755-0444 or mdelorey at colonyretirement.com.
In her article, Marianne wrote, Maya Angelou spoke about this once. She noted that even very frail people can contribute. She wrote, it can be a smile, it can be a pat on the back, it may be just saying good morning to someone, or, that's a beautiful color on you. You have no idea if that person has just hung up the phone from having a nurse say, well, we were wrong, the test is positive. You never know, having a charitable heart can be even more powerful than giving money. Yes, definitely. Before we close, tell us about the Japanese culture sense of purpose.
So the Japanese believe firmly in the need for ikigai, which is the purpose and meaning in life. It is more important than satisfaction or happiness, which is much more common in the American culture. Being needed and contributing is up there in terms of bringing worth to your life, and I think we should encourage that for our seniors.
Marianne is spot on. I'm going to have to get you back on again. It's been too many years. Oh my gosh. Well, I read this a lot. I grab it. I always look to see if it's out yet. This one from March, it came out early. This is February. Sometimes they come out a little bit early, but during COVID, it was hard to find it. We've got to leave. Doggone it. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time on Be My Guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.